Alright, today my speech is going to be on global climate change. It's already accepted that global climate change is already happening today through most of the scientists. But what's argued about today is if global climate change is happening because of us humans. So my main claim is human activity is primarily responsible for global climate change. The reason why we're the main reason why we're at fault for this happening is because we're causing carbon dioxide to go into the atmosphere and heat up the planet through the greenhouse effect. So, found from the Bowden research, since 1751 we have released 337 billion metric tons of carbon into the atmosphere through the consumption of fossil fuels. So through this we have increased the heat of the global climate. It is also said that in 2007 that the global heat of the Earth has raised, like over the past 100 years, that we've raised the global heat to at least 1.4% in degrees Celsius. The reason this is a big deal is because right now the Earth is only at 15 degrees Celsius, so a few degrees can cause a catastrophic effects. With most of that happening through the past 30 years. So in the past 30 years we have raised it at least, I think it was 0.8, if I'm correct. Alright, but another way we raise the gases in the atmosphere is through methane increase due to our agriculture. The US EPA has said that we have released C4 emissions due to us having more cows, and to their, I guess, bodily functions, they release methane. Another thing is that the ocean absorbs 30% of the CO2 in the atmosphere, which puts the acidity level of the water to like an increasing rate, but this also causes the polar ice caps to melt. So going on to one of my secondary things. Global warming is caused by human-produced greenhouse gases, and it's causing the Arctic ice caps to melt. Due to more gases in the atmosphere, the climate is getting hotter, and it's melting the polar caps on between 1953 and 2006, 7.8 decades. No. I'm just gonna move on. Alright, human global warming is changing the weather system and making heat waves and more droughts. Scientists have recently found out that one of the droughts in Texas was directly linked to the global climate change, and a few droughts in Oklahoma are directly linked. Right now they're figuring out that the drought in California could also possibly link to the climate change that we are causing. And most extreme hot days, 75% of them are directly linked to global climate change due to us. And that's it.
All right, Ryan, at the beginning you identified the topic. When you present the proposition, you actually introduce it as a question, which is not right. You want it to be the answer to a question. Ultimately, you kind of tell us what your answer is, but it should be a little bit clearer at the beginning. There's no preview of what the supporting justifications are going to be for the conclusion to your answer, so I think that you hurt the audience's ability to follow the argument a bit, and the information ends up sounding quite a bit more random than you want it to. You briefly explained the theory of the greenhouse effect. That's okay. Keep it brief. I think most people have probably heard that theory before. But the only place where I got any specific source citation was right at the beginning of the speech, and it was a little bit nebulous as to how important that was going to be. It was basically the information about the amount of carbon that got put into the atmosphere over the last couple hundred years. After that, there's just a lot of assertion, a lot of they say, a lot of it's believed, a lot of it's been established, but I don't know who it was established by, who they are, why I should believe it. You are not citing your sources in presenting your argument. And so one of the ways that you build some credibility is by using authorities who are knowledgeable on this subject. Maybe you are a knowledgeable person, but I have no way of knowing that. But as I'm listening to you, when you say, I'm quoting Dr. So-and-so, who's the head of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or here is the head of the NOAA, or this person is the foremost climatologist at the University of Pennsylvania, or something like that, then I know who it is I'm listening to and where this data comes from. Here's data that comes from a longitudinal study that's checked global temperatures at the surface level for 100 years or something like that. As it is, it just sounds like a lot of assertions to me. And sort of like you're outlining what the argument is that one side makes on this particular issue without documenting that. And I think that that's problematic. That's one of the points of making an argument like this, is that you develop the grounds of your argument, and all you've given us are claims for this. For the most part, there's a little bit of a warrant because you give the justification of the greenhouse effect, but what's missing are the grounds to believe it. When you're speaking to us, because I don't think you have a clear organizational structure that you're following, you sound uncertain. I think that's kind of the basis of some of that uncertainty that you have. I thought that you explained what some key issues are, and it shouldn't be that hard to organize them a little bit more distinctly. You've got an argument about the effect on the oceans. You've got an argument about the notion that it's caused by things other than CO2 in the atmosphere. You've got an argument about the effect that it's going to have on the polar ice caps, and an argument about the effect that it's going to have on drought. Why you don't bother signposting those, creating a structure that is easy for everybody to follow, I'm not sure. I think that that's what you need to do. You've got there's a pattern in here somewhere, but it's hard to pick out. So I don't really know if you have 4 supporting points or 3 supporting points, and I'm not being able to follow when you've gone from one to another, except on point number 2. You were pretty distinct about that. I thought you did an okay job on that. All right. Thank you.